Hello readers, I'm Amy. If I seem tired, I am. Today's been a really long day, a productive day, but a long day nonetheless. And your girl here, as is pretty typical, thought I was being all organized and stuff, and I had everything downloaded that I needed, so I deleted videos off of my camera that I hadn't edited yet. So I am filming my February anti-haul for the second time. So let's go ahead and get this started. I just started doing these in January, so just know I am on a book buying ban, except for one book for school, so it doesn't really count. I'm on a book buying ban. These kind of anti-hauls are to encourage myself not to buy books. However, there are lots of these that I get excited for, and I will definitely see if they are available through my library or Kindle Unlimited, something like that, that I have a subscription to. But yeah, just because I don't want to read something or I'm anti-hauling a book doesn't mean that it's not a good book, doesn't mean that you might not enjoy that book. We just all have our own tastes. So, February 16th, we have The Paris Dressmaker by Christy Cambrin, an iconic city under siege during World War II and the bravery of two women who joined the resistance to save it. So when I hear World War II and two women, I'm just going to be thinking about Lilac Girls. I never actually read that book, but I had a copy at one point. And I'm thinking, like, is this like another World War II lesbian love story? Maybe. Not really interested in reading it. The cover, I'm not super into photography covers, particularly those with the glamorous gown or the princess photo. They're just, I don't know. There's something about it that isn't appealing to me. We have A History of What Comes Next by Sylvain Neuvel. This is out on February 2nd. He is also the author of the Themis Files. I read the first one as a physical book, and I think I finished the series as an audiobook. And the first one was fine. The following two were a little less interesting. But what really gets me is that you have this character in book 2. I believe she's from South America or Puerto Rico. But she's got like the kind of Spanish-speaking accent. And then in the third audiobook, her character is recast as someone with a New York accent. And I'm like, really? No. And like I said, I mean, Themis Files just didn't keep my attention through the whole series. I'm not particularly interested in reading what comes next. Winter's Orbit by Everina Maxwell, also February 2nd. This one, I screenshotted this because of the cover, because that's a gorgeous cover, which, by the way, I'm reading off of screenshots that I took a while back. Really glad that I took screenshots since I didn't save my video. So I took screenshots of covers that looked interesting or books that might be popular among readers out there. This is Ancillary Justice meets Red, White, and Royal Blue, and this is a debut novel. I have not read Ancillary Justice. I feel like it's a science fiction, but I don't actually know. I'm not sure if you've even ever looked it up. I feel like it's a science fiction. I'm probably wrong. Red, White, and Royal Blue I have not read yet. I'm not going to read it. It's not a book that I've ever been interested. I've heard good things, but if I'm going to read a romance, I want it to be realistic, and I'm sorry. But the president's son and the prince getting together, no. It just wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen. I'm sorry to destroy your dreams. It's just not very realistic and not my kind of romance. Not that I ever really read romance. I'm being very judgy. We're gonna move on to The Echo Wife. Yes, I picked out this book solely for this cover, which is beautiful. I like the colors, I like the simplicity and the repetition. The Echo Wife is a non-stop thrill ride, perfect for readers of Big Little Lies and enthusiasts of Killing Eve and Westworld. I have not watched Killing Eve, I have not watched Westworld. I do like Big Little Lies. Liane Moriarty is kind of back and forth for me. I either love her books or I hate them. I believe, was it 9 Perfect Strangers? And the one about the hypnotist was not into, but Big Little Lies was so good. So I might actually pick this up if it's available through my library. Although I'm just noticing now on the side it says from the best-selling author of Magic for Liars. I don't know that I've actually heard very good things about Magic for Liars. So maybe I won't pick this up. I don't know. I did look up some Native American specific releases. I just finished my week of reading Native American authors, and this one, I am not into comedy reads. I like comedy in books. I like comedic personalities and characters. Comedy as a genre isn't something that I pick up, and I'm not sure that this is necessarily a comedy genre. It is talking about comedy, but this looks really, really interesting, and I would like to pick it up if it's available through my library. We had a little real estate problem. The Unheralded Story of Native Americans in Comedy. This looks amazing. It's by Cliff Nestoroff. It says, and one more, so I don't know if it's like edited by him. So it's an account beginning in the late 1880s when Native Americans are forced to tour in Wild West shows as an alternative to prison, which I did not know. This looks really interesting. I would love to read it. If I can't get a hold of it, I might break my book buying ban. But you didn't hear that from me. As You Were by David Tremblay. This is a memoir told from inside the shockwaves set off by the Indian boarding schools, exacerbated by a decade and a half spent inside the armed forces, exposing a series of inescapable prisons and invisible scars of attempted erasure. This would be a good one for me to read. Again, I don't know that I'm going to pick this one up. I usually do pick up some darker books. I haven't necessarily been in the mood for super dark nonfiction lately. Usually it's something that I would reach for, but whenever, right now, like Indian boarding schools, inescapable prisons, invisible scars, like that is not what I am in the mood to be reading right now. I'm not in that darker reading stage at the moment. So I do think that I would be interested in reading that eventually, but right now, a little too heavy for me. Milkfed by Melissa Broder is February 2nd, which is also another big publishing day for February. Pay attention on the 2nd and on the 16th. It's about a 24-year-old in Los Angeles who has an eating disorder, a disordered relationship with her mother, and a stand-up comedy hobby. So we're having some comedy books come out. I might read this. Also, this cover is very to the point. Like, it has to be a nipple, right? That's what we're looking at. Which I'm intrigued, and I tend to like books that have people with disorders. Although I did just say that I'm not really into heavy reading right now, and this looks like it could be heavier reading. Therapist recommendation, our main character is going on a 90-day detox from her mom. Religion, sexuality, food, therapy, kind of up my alley, honestly. This one, The Removed by Brandon Hobson. I don't know if Milkfed was a Native American author. Brandon Hobson is a Native American author. I'm not picking this up. So, like I said, I just finished my week of reading Native American authors. I'd started Where the Dead Sit Talking, also by Brandon Hobson, and was not into it. It went in some really inappropriate little black holes that I was not into. So, I'm pretty much like, no, I'm not going to read that author. I'm letting that one book just... yeah. Fake Accounts by Lauren Euler, also February 2nd. Chronicles a woman who, at the dawning of the Trump presidency, discovers her boyfriend is a decently famous Instagram conspiracy theorist. Definitely not picking this up. I remember starting that Flat Earther documentary once. It's on Netflix, and I'm like... It looked interesting, like, oh, I wonder what these people are thinking, and I'm watching it and I'm like, I cannot keep watching this. My academic brain is just melting. Could not do it. So not gonna pick that one up. In Memory of Memory by Maria Stepanova, translated by Sasha Dugdale. This comes out February 9th. genre-bending look at a century of life in Russia. So I haven't really read any Russian authors yet. Whenever I think Russia, I think the classics, and then I just start to get overwhelmed. I feel really overwhelmed when I think about starting Russian literature. And outside of Anastasia and the Romanov family, I don't really know much about Russia. Also, this is described as genre bending, and I don't consider myself a genre bending reader. I've tried like some speculative fiction. I'm not really big on that. I haven't enjoyed a ton of literary fiction books. When I hear genre bending, I think literary fiction, I think experimental, and experimental writing has never vibed well with me, but if that sounds something you would be really interested in, go ahead and pick it up. Sanctuary Highway I can see myself reading. This is by Ellen Hopkins. It's being released February 2nd. I read quite a few of her books last year. She's one of those that reads in kind of a poetry style, and I've really enjoyed it. She is YA, but it's a YA that I really seem to get along with as far as her writing goes. I can see myself picking this up, although edge of your seat novel about two teens struggling to survive in a radicalized, militarized United States. I might not read this when it comes out because it's a little too soon for me, you know? I believe that is it for this anti-haul. That looks like the end of my screenshots. I did end up on some of those February releases. I found some March releases, which I am really excited for. So, we'll talk about this again next month. Please like, subscribe, be my friend on social media. I will see all of you in my next video. Bye, friends.